Hello YouTube. I hope you all are enjoying your Saturday. I'm in the house and I'm a little under the weather once again. It's like, damn, I'm always not I can't say always, but here lately catching colds. I had one before my birthday and I have a slight cold now. I was coughing a little bit last night, this morning, and I have a runny nose. Like, officially, I have a runny nose. Like, usually, when you gotta wipe your nose outside, that's natural. But if you inside the house and you gotta blow your nose more than twice, it's a runny nose. Like, since I woke up, I had to blow my nose 3 times. So I have an official runny nose. So, last night I went to see a guy called, his name is Country Wayne. I had never heard of him before, and they gave us a little poster. Yeah, he looks like Kendrick Lamar to me. But yeah, my cousin and I, we went, and she actually got the tickets from a friend who they had deaf in the family. So they gave her the tickets so it wouldn't go to waste. So that was nice of them, or whatever. And I went, and it was a cool time. He wasn't that funny to me, but I mean, it was a cool time, and he wasn't horrible. But a lot of the things he was saying was like, comedians, they tell jokes, but there's always truth in their jokes. And I just wanted to briefly talk about what he mentioned. He talked about R. Kelly, and he talked about why he married his children's mom. And I wanted to briefly talk about that. I always talk about being a wife, and naturally that's just human instinct. Who doesn't want to be a wife? But at the same time, you have to be careful on a man's intentions. You have to be careful on the reasoning behind it. Is he marrying you because you have children, or is he marrying you because he actually loves you? Now, he has said how, and this is not the first time I've heard this. This is why I was like, let me talk about it on my YouTube channel, So he said how he has 5 children with 5 different women, or 4 different women, whatever. And his first or second baby mother took him for child support for $15,000 a month. Now that's a lot of money, $15,000 a month. Like, that's basically, wow, you could live off of that. You could put the children in private school, you could get a house, you could do a lot with $15,000 a month. So he told her, he said that they was in family court, and he said to her right then and there, will you marry me? So it's not even, she didn't put him on child support because he wasn't supporting the child or children that they have together. She put him on child support because he had left her and she was bitter. The moment he asked her to marry him and they got married, that was it. He didn't have to pay child support. And even though he said it as a joke, it just shows you, like, even when a man proposes to you or even speaks of marriage or anything, it still doesn't mean anything. So it goes back to titles really don't matter. How many of us know married women that are miserable and we feel so sorry for them, but you can't because they put themselves in that situation. So me and my coworker, we were talking on Thursday, and what she said really, she made a lot of sense. We was talking about our different situations, and for me, I never been married. I was never with my son's father. As I told y'all before, it was just something that happened, and my son is here by popular demand. So my church family, my friend from church, one of my GYNs was actually the organist at the church during my prenatal care. She came to my shower too. I had so much support during my pregnancy, though we weren't in a relationship. And I let him know, like, hey, I don't want to be with you. I knew that he was something that I didn't want. And so My coworker, her and I were talking, and she was married before. She said that when she was 4 months pregnant, that's when she realized like he wasn't shit. And but by that time it was too late because they were married. They got married because they were in a relationship, and so it was like, okay, I'm having your baby. What happened was she got kicked out. Her mother kicked her out. They moved in, so the next thing was, okay, let's get married. They end up having another kid together. And then, yeah. So, the same way I feel, I should say didn't feel, she went through the same thing. Like, except she dated her child's father and they got married. But she was like, when she was 4 months pregnant, she just realized, like, she ain't even like him like that. And a lot of men cheat and do things in a marriage because they know that that woman doesn't care for them. So it's kind of like not giving men a slide, but a man is not going to come up to you and say, oh, why don't you love me? Why don't you? He going to go out and he going to do him, and he going to get him a woman that actually, wants to be around him. And that's just the reality of things. You got a lot of women who get left home because they want to be home. They homebodies. They don't want to go nowhere with their husband. So what happens? The husband ends up taking another chick out of loneliness. Not even because he wants to, but it's because his wife don't want to go nowhere with him. She don't like him, and so it's like, okay, so I'm gonna find me somebody who does like me. And with some men, they're not gonna file for divorce because they actually do want to be with their wives. In most cases, they chase their wives for years, and their wife is their dream girl. However, the wife doesn't feel the same way. And the difference between men and women is a woman will be faithful to a guy she doesn't want to fuck with ease. Like, we'll do that shit. But a man, not so much. Because a man is more emotional, and a man needs more attention than a woman. Way more. Women, we cook, we clean, we take care of the kids and go to work, and we good. Without attention and affection for months at a time, it will still be faithful. But for a man, he'll start to like wander off because he needs that attention and affection. So it was just interesting with me and my coworker what we were talking about, and she went through a lot, and she don't even realize she went through a lot because she didn't like him. And when men know that, they react accordingly. It's just like with a dog. If a dog know that you don't like him, he gonna act up, he gonna bark, he gonna scream, he might even bite you because he's feeding off of your energy. Just like with children too. If you are a mean person or you don't want to be around that child is not gonna listen to you. They not. So, it's the same thing with men. They gonna act accordingly. Now, in some cases, some men, they just cheat and do what they do regardless. But in other instances, if a man feels neglected, he's gonna do what he need to do. Yeah, so with men, they're not gonna come out and say, why don't you love me, and why you not doing this, why you not doing that. They're going to express it in other ways, So, yeah. So after he said that on stage, he was like, he married his baby mother to avoid child support. It was laughing. It was funny and everybody was geeky. But it's like, damn, like it just made me do this video real quick to be like, as a woman, and you get with a guy and he's the man of your dreams, but if you're not the woman of his dreams, it's not going to work out. And those are tough conversations that nobody wants to have. Like, do you actually like me? For real. Like, do you like the person? Do you want to be around the person? Does the person excite you when you go out and you can't wait to see them? All of that is important. Because when you get married, it's supposed to be till death do you part. But either way, it's a very long-term relationship. And you got to make sure you actually like this person. You could love a person and not like them. That's not going to work. You need to like them. That needs to be like your best friend. Y'all need to have shit in common other than sex, because that's not going to last but for so long. Sex gets whack. I don't care what they told you. I don't care if he got the best dingling ever, or her, you think her vagina, her pussy, oh my God, I never had nothing like this. Good sex, eventually it withers out. It really does. Within a matter, I would say 5 or 6 years, it could, infatuation phase, and then you start to see other things, like the person is not who you really want after all. In some cases, some people be like, what the bleep did I marry? Like, who is this person? And it be like that because you were so infatuated, and people miss the difference. There's a difference between infatuation and in love. A lot of y'all are not in love. Y'all are infatuated, okay? In love with a person is the person's character, how they treat you, right? So many people say, oh, they fell in love with a person. Well, what the hell did he do for you? Did he do anything for you or your kids? How does he treat you? What the hell are you in love with? All he do is make you cry and beat your ass. So you're in love with what? Exactly. That's not love. That's hate, actually. So you gotta stop and think, like, I'm in love with this person, or I have these feelings. What the hell did they do for you? If they, and some people say, oh, agape love, God's love. We have to obey God's commandments. We have to do things for God as well, too. He says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And it's the same thing with we're all human beings. You don't just love somebody just because. You love them just because if they're your child. And even then, if my son go out, the last straw for me, I always say, like, my non-negotiables, if he ends up in jail for rape and he actually did it, if he ends up in jail for murder and he did it, and it was unprovoked, it wasn't self-defense, and if he changed his gender, those are like 3 things that I would disown my son for. But it's like I'm a human being. I still have, we all have non-negotiables, and that's what you have to have, at the end of the day. Marriage is, oh, your love is unconditional, you just love somebody just because. No. You're human. It's okay to love your husband because he's a good provider. It's okay to love your husband because he do for you and the kids. It's okay because you're a human, and that's what you're supposed to love him for, those things. It's, oh, I just love him because I don't even know why. What? Does he at least encourage you to be a better woman? Does he challenge you? Does he, make you feel good? Does he at least say positive things? You got to have more than just, oh, he looked good and his pipe game is good. You know what I mean? Because there's a difference between infatuation and in love. There is a huge difference. And a lot of people are infatuated. They are not in love. And some of y'all are insane. Not in love, So know the difference. And when getting a proposal from a man, or even discussing, even in a relationship with a man, I think you should sit down and be like, why are we together? Why do we want to be together? And talk about it as a couple. And then when you get to the marriage phase, I feel like, because who the hell, and he was talking about one of his kids' mom had bad teeth. To me, the marriage thing, he married her because he didn't want to pay child support. That's even more embarrassing. It's like, oh my God. Like, I know a guy who said he married his kid's mom because she was pregnant. You know how embarrassing that is? She probably was in love with him and everything. But no, he didn't even want to marry you. He just married you because you was pregnant. How embarrassing is that? I would not want somebody to marry me because I'm pregnant. Like, what? You know? Or because, we have kids together, so let's get married. Like, no. I want a man to marry me because he actually wants me and wants to be with me. Because guess what? Those children are going to grow up, and even if they don't leave your house, they're going to have their own lives. So at that point, even before they grow up, once they get like 10, 11, they're not worried about you. They go into soccer practice, they go into basketball practice, whatever, and they have their own lives. So what do you have once they're grown, once they're growing up, once they get to a certain age? And it's important to have things in common outside of sex and the kids. And those are my thoughts.